In today's video, I'm going to show you how I use everyday items to both elevate my photography and replace the need for expensive equipment such as softboxes, smoke machines, lights, and more. Let's start off with my favorite trick, a humidifier. Those of you who live in colder climates, you probably have one of these. It achieves a similar effect to a smoke machine, and I tend to use it a lot to add dramatic effect into photos. Since it's not actually fog, but rather mist that is coming out of the humidifier, the smoky effect doesn't stick around. The trick is to put your humidifier to the highest setting, then angle the mist towards the product. This part can be a bit tricky, and you'll have to play around with it. I sometimes use my hand or an object on top of the opening to get the right angle. Once you have this, you'll have a constant stream of smoky effect on your product. Pro tip: don't knock over a humidifier. Oops. A slower shutter can create a textured background, whereas a fast shutter will be more dramatic. For video, I like to shoot at 60 FPS and slow the footage down to 50% to achieve a misty fog-like effect for the product. If you don't have a humidifier and are considering to buy a smoke machine, remember you will have to continue to purchase special fluids for the smoke machine, whereas the humidifier can be filled using tap water. I will say that this trick won't work as well with larger objects and only works well with objects no bigger than a water bottle. Your second biggest expense to product photography after a camera is probably lighting equipment. There are tons of clever ways to achieve good lighting for cheap. For well-lit shots such as white product shots, a bright light source such as natural light or a good desk lamp will do the trick. But if you want something more dramatic and unique, many of us don't have the right equipment, especially RGB lighting. Most of us have phones, laptops, and maybe even a tablet. These devices are light sources, and I often use them to provide RGB light to my products. Most likely, your device won't be very bright, so a good camera is crucial here to reduce noise. But as a last resort, I use the new AI noise reduction feature in Lightroom to fix any excessive noise in the image. Fake and real plants around the house do a great job at adding foreground and background to objects. I've used this $5 IKEA plant for so many photos. It's great because you can bring it up to any angle and shoot through the leaves. It's a simple trick, but adds a lot of depth to photos where you want a more natural feel. Most of you probably already know this, but instead of purchasing expensive reflectors, white sheets of poster paper or cardboard do the trick just as well. It doesn't always have to be white. If you want some colored shadows, bright colored poster paper will work well. This is a clever way to add some subtle color to your photos. If your object is really reflective, more color will show, and if it's more solid, like this USB hub, then the color will show a little less. Which leads me to the sponsor of this video, Uni Accessories. Even though my M1 MacBook Pro has tons of ports already, it's still missing the essentials, like an Ethernet port, USB-A ports, and a micro SD port. Also, as a photographer, the additional SD card slots prove very handy when working with large amounts of data. You can have all these additional ports by just using one USB-C port. With a removable Type-C connector, a rugged rubber case, this USB-C hub is the best choice as a docking station, both at home and on the go. Next up is the fishing line. This is an age-old trick to get objects to appear as if they are floating. Find a relatively concealed spot on your product and tie a knot around it. Then hang it around a boom arm, and then you have a floating object. Tape is a good way to get the line to the perfect height if you're having trouble with that. Here, I tied it around the case of the USB hub, and now it appears like it's floating. Sometimes you can still see the line, so a quick Photoshop edit can eliminate it. For surfaces and backdrops, I'd like to use cutting boards, foam boards, and spare tiles that I have laying around the house. Cutting boards are great because they give that natural wood look. The back of ceramic tiles are really good too, since they often have this concrete-like finish to them. If you don't have any of these, your home flooring or desk can be a surface for photos too. This last one is a bit extra, but I happen to have a spare standing desk laying around, and I use it to adjust my product to my backdrop. I have a relatively small poster board that I use from the dollar store, so getting the product in the center is crucial. The desk helps with adjusting the height so I don't have to constantly move the backdrop. And that's pretty much it. I hope you've learned something new from the video. See you next time.